Everybody's got a price, it's the $1 million man. Podcast in demand. Understand, everybody's got a price. $1 million man. Everybody's got a price. $1 million man. Everybody's got a pod, it's the $1 million man. Podcast in demand. Understand, everybody's got a price. $1 million man. Everybody's got a price.
What's up, everybody? It's Marcus D'Angelo, and we are back for another episode of Everybody's Got a Pod. And of course, we can never do it. I would never want to do it without the man himself, WWE Hall of Famer and legend, the $1 million man. Ted, it's been a while. Good to see you.
Yeah, man. Good to see you too, Marcus. What's up, buddy?
Man, life is good. Life is busy, of course, but busy's good in my world. And Ted, I shared it with the fans here in the past couple of weeks. I've been doing intros to the shows as I'll throw to, a Jim Duggan episode or a best of compilation or something. And I mentioned it. You're unfortunately your family suffered a loss, and that's why you had to miss some time here. And I didn't know if you wanted to talk about that or not. We don't have to if you don't want to.
Well, no, actually, it was my mother-in-law, my wife's mother, who passed away, and but when Melanie and I got married, both of her parents became like second parents to me, and her mother was just, a very bright woman, very very educated, and worked. She and her father worked. Until retirement, and he passed away like I think 6 or 7 years ago now, and it was a loss. Mel's mother kind of reminded me in a lot of ways of my own grandmother, who was, the rock in my life. So anyway. I've been getting a lot of condolences from a lot of fans and everything. So thank you so very much. And and again, it was heavy for both of us. Of course, more for Melanie. That was her mom. But it was heavy for both of us. And hey, you know what? Life goes on though, and she would not want us to sit around and boo-hoo, because hey, you know what? That's what I told Melanie. I said, your mom is back with your dad now in heaven, and so what's to be sad about?
So when you look at it that way, it's a blessing in disguise. But certainly prayers to you and your whole family. It's never easy to suffer a loss like that. Well, Ted, since the last time we spoke, a lot has been going on, and we're going to cover all of it. But first, I want to start with this. You and our good buddy, or at least my good buddy, I don't know what's going on with you, Hacksaw Jim Duggan. Boy, a little war of words there on your X accounts.
Hey, buddy, I'm telling you, Jim and I have been friends for a very, very long time. It goes all the way, obviously, back to when we were wrestling each other, and I hear a lot of fans say that, man, we love the good old days. You guys were part of the, that generation where wrestling was just great, and we always looked forward to it. And, and so Jim and I have just been doing a little back and forth banter, having some fun with it.
Man, cool to see that happening online, and cool to see you guys getting the fans involved. So interested to see where it goes. And folks, if you're not following these two on X, you've got to get over there. It's MDM Ted DiBiase on Ted's X, and then it's at Real Hacksaw Jim. Man, I'm seeing Sergeant Slaughter starting to weigh in and get involved. Things are getting pretty interesting over there. So
yeah, and I think it's going to get a lot more interesting. Sorry.
Well, I'm excited to see what comes next. So, folks, stay tuned for that. And stay tuned for this episode, guys. It is the 21st edition of Ask Ted Anything right now. So, man, Ted, you and I, by the way, you and I are very quickly approaching our 100th episode. Right, this one right now is episode 94. Can you believe it?
Wow, really?
Yeah. So,
man,
we've been at it for a while here, man, and I've enjoyed it,
brother. I'm telling you. Let's keep the ball rolling.
Absolutely. Yeah. I'm looking forward to getting to episode 300, 500. We'll get there eventually, folks. But look.
Yeah, we'll all have to come in here with a cane and go, hey, help me sit down here.
Yeah, I might be using a cane by the time we get to 500. But guys, I want to remind you that if you have a question for a future episode of Ask Ted Anything, you can post it to Ted's social media. But probably the easiest route is to send me a DM on Twitter with your question. You can do that right now at Marcus P. D'Angelo on X. And as always, we'll continue to build these questions up show after show. We're not going to get to all of them today. Probably won't get to all of them the next time. So don't worry, though. That doesn't mean that we aren't going to eventually ask your question. Before we do get into the questions, got to give you all a reminder to get over to our YouTube channel and get subscribed. Ted DiBiase and Hacksaw Jim Duggan share the channel. That's the only place Ted's podcast here is an audio podcast as well as a video podcast. Jim's is just a video podcast. So if you want to hear Jim's, you have to go to our YouTube channel. It's at youtube.com/@Golden Era Network. So Ted, without any further ado, let's get into some questions.
Okay.
The first questions are going to be from me because something else that happened, Ted, since last time we spoke was that you made an appearance with WWE on Saturday night's main event, and you were wearing a pretty fancy looking suit.
Yeah, well, let me tell you. I mean, that way, they had sent somebody here to my home. WWE. They sent somebody out here just to measure me for everything, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the jacket and the shirt front, obviously, hopefully that looked pretty good.
Oh yeah.
But the pants that they had made, I wasn't going to put them suckers on if my life depended on it. So, the top part was like, like this guy, like you see right here in the picture.
Uh-huh.
But the pants were my regular dress pants because they, the other pants, were just, they were just, they just weren't good. So anyway, but hey, we had some fun with it. They took me out and they took several of us out and basically sat us at ringside for just a few minutes. And then we stood up and waved at everybody and then went backstage.
Hey, pretty easy night. Not too bad.
Pretty easy night.
Now, I have to ask Ted, and I'm sure that a lot of fans are curious about this. Did you get to keep the suit, or did WWE make you give it back?
Oh, I got it. Right.
Oh, boy.
Oh, yeah.
Got to keep the suit. So
let's see here. Where's that thing?
You've probably been walking around your house wearing that thing.
Hey, hold on.
Yeah, sure.
Ta-da!
Look at that. Boy, that thing looks awesome.
There it is, buddy.
All right. Any chance? Oh, look at the back too. Any chance you're going to be wearing that thing at WrestleCon in Las Vegas?
I don't think so.
Who wants to sit around in that for 4 hours? Well, Ted, I love the fact that you got to keep that suit. It's really cool. And I do have to ask, you're backstage. It's a new regime there in the WWE. Triple H is running the show. A lot of new faces as far as talents and whatnot. What can you tell us about any backstage interactions you had while you were there?
I really didn't have a lot of time. A lot of the new people came up and shook my hand and were glad to meet me and all that kind of stuff and everything. And of course, I was more focused on what I was there to do.
Mm-hmm.
They did the scene where the old limo comes down and they open it up and I get out and like I arrive and that. And then the only other thing we really did was, sit at ringside.
Man, it was really cool to see you and the other legends there. Dory Funk, Hacksaw Jim Duggan, of course. Medusa was there. There was a lot of legends in the house, and it was fun to see. Now, I mentioned it. Triple H is running the show there nowadays. And gone are the days of Vince McMahon kind of overseeing all these productions. What can you tell us about being around Triple H and his progression here as kind of the leader of the show?
Well, I'll be honest with you. I think he's doing a good job. Vince's forte was not wrestling so much because he never really was a wrestler, where Triple H was a wrestler, so he obviously, knows more about wrestling than Vince, but Vince's gifts again, we wouldn't be having this conversation if it weren't for Vince McMahon and what he contributed to the wrestling world for sure. But I think that Triple H is doing a pretty good job. It's kind of like what I get from a lot of fans and some from even fans who tune into this program is, gosh, it's just not like the old days, and it's like the good old days. And it seems like the good old days, happens to be that era of where it was me and Duggan and all those guys, Andre and what have you. And it's just not like it used to be. But with Triple H at the helm, I think it's gonna get back to be more like it used to be. And so I think it's a good thing. I really do.
For my money, I sat down and watched the entire Saturday night's main event. I think that wrestling right now is as good as it's been since the golden era of wrestling when you guys were active.
Yeah.
It's been a lot of fun to watch. Obviously, the Attitude Era was certainly a lot of fun too. But right now, the audience is red hot, and the storylines that they're telling are really compelling. I'm excited for this year's Mania, and I mentioned it earlier. You are going to be in Las Vegas for WrestleCon. So fans, make sure that if you're in Vegas, you swing by WrestleCon, say hi to the $1 Million Man. I'm going to be hovering around too, so you might even spot me there. So yeah,
how did the $1 Million Man not go to Las Vegas?
I'm telling you, Ted.
It's all about the money, honey.
I'm thinking you and I might need to go out, hit a little roulette table, something like that. We'll have some fun.
No, I'm going to tell you. You know who's good at the roulette table?
Who's that?
Mrs. DiBiase.
Really?
Yeah.
All right. Is she going to be there with you by any chance?
Absolutely.
Oh, man. Okay. All right. We're going to make this thing happen then. She can. I need some help on the roulette table, so maybe she can help me. All right. Let's go ahead and get into fan questions here. Ooh, wait. One more thing before we do. Dad, did you see that there's another action figure of you coming out?
No.
They just announced it like last week.
Wow. They announce all that stuff, but why don't I ever hear about it?
It's just like internet stuff.
And, I'll be honest with you, with a lot of the figures, there'll just be a box show up at my door, and it's brand new action figures, and that's probably what's going to happen this time. Is there going to be another box show up at my door and go, oh gosh, where'd this come from?
Well, this one's an interesting one, Ted, because in order for people to get this, it's an NWO Ted DiBiase that they're making. So your 1996, 1997 era Ted. But what's interesting about it, Ted, is that it's a Build-A-Figure. So how that works is that they release 4 separate action figures of other guys, and there's one piece of Ted DiBiase in every box. So in one box, they've got your upper body, then they've got lower body, got like hands or arms or whatever, and then they've got your head in another box. So in order to build this Ted DiBiase figure, you have to buy all the figures.
Wow. Now, that sounds like something the $1 Million Man would have done.
It's a good strategy.
You can't just buy one figure. You got to buy 5 or 6 of them to get them, make them all match.
Gotta admit, it's a good strategy. But man, it's I know that you didn't love your NWO days. It's got a sweet spot in my heart. I was like an NWO kid, so boy, that's a Ted DiBiase figure I might have to build. They're gonna rake me over the coals to get that thing. But all right, let's go ahead and get into these questions. First up, we've got Larry Haynes, I think is how you say it, and he asks, boy, Larry wants the dirt. Ted, can you name the top 3 worst wrestlers of all time? I know that the Ultimate Warrior is number 1. Who are number 2 and 3?
Yeah, I mean the Ultimate Warrior. For a guy that got such a huge push, yeah, he had a great look, but zero talent.
Mm-hmm.
Oh gosh, wow, man. It's like, I'm trying to think of anybody that it's funny. You forget the ones that, okay, I'll tell you. Now, this guy was one of the biggest stars that wrestling ever had.
All right.
And you put a microphone in his hand, and I mean, he could go. But in the ring, he needed a lot of help, and that was JYD.
Ah, yes.
Yeah, Junkyard Dog. Brother, he had charisma. He had so much charisma. and charisma can account for a lot of and like there's obviously been other people that were, but he was great on the microphone, and he earned every penny he made.
Kind of goes to show that it's like wrestling it's interesting because being a good athlete will really help you along the way. However, you don't necessarily have to be that great of an athlete if you're a good enough character.
Yeah, yeah, and his character didn't demand it, and of course, Bill knew who to put him with, who could carry him and make him look great, and so that's two, right?
That's two, and I gotta say the way that you set up JYD, I thought for sure you were about to say Michael Hayes.
Uh, Michael Hayes. You just bingo, Michael, brother. Again, Michael Hayes he's loved wrestling all his life. When him and Buddy Roberts and who was the third?
Terry Gordy.
Terry Gordy. Well, first it was Michael and Terry.
Mm-hmm.
I think, and then the other guy,
Buddy Jack.
Buddy Jack was added later. Buddy Jack was great. Gordy was great. Michael was great on the microphone, but his in-ring ability was horrible. And you know what? If you asked him today, he'd probably agree.
I'm sure he would, but again, it's and this is something that Jim Duggan talks about all the time. He says, everybody can take a backdrop, everybody knows how to do a body slam, and now a lot of the guys know how to do like a lot of flips and all these really fancy athletic moves. He was like, but not everybody is a good enough character, and that's what's going to set you apart in professional wrestling. And he's right. If you're a good enough character, you don't have to be a great wrestler to get over.
That is so true. That is so true.
Next up, we've got Rendezvous. It's weird spelling. I assume that's how you say it. And they ask, you around both guys, so I've always wondered about your opinion on if Hulk Hogan or Steve Austin was a bigger star. That's a good one. For the era, I guess what I'm saying is that, when wrestling exploded, it's like it, when Vince made the first big move and it's like, what's it, wrestling, WrestleMania 3 sets an indoor world indoor attendance record and all that other stuff. It was Hulk Hogan, and, I would say overall, I mean, people today, people on the street who may not be fans of wrestling or anything, it's like if you ask them to name a very famous wrestler, they'd all go Hulk Hogan. Yep.
And nothing, I mean, Steve was great. Steve Austin was great. There's another guy I helped make.
Yep. Sure did.
Because they put him with me for a while, and but buddy, he killed it. He killed it, buddy. I'm telling you. And he had it all. He could do it in the ring. He could do it on the microphone, and he deserves every accolade that you can give him because he was, without a doubt, one of the very best in the ring, out of the ring, on the microphone, or wherever. And I would say, just in this too, in real life, he was one tough son of a gun. He's not a guy you'd want to piss off.
You look at Steve Austin today, he still looks like a guy you wouldn't want to piss off. He's a big boy.
Yeah.
But to your point, Ted, I was thinking about that question myself. And, if you ask a lot of people, just like a casual person you see out on the street, if you say, hey, who's Steve Austin? A lot of them, at least a subset of them, would probably say the $6 Million Man. That would be their answer from that.
The TV character.
Yes, but if you ask anybody out on the street, hey, who's Hulk Hogan? They know exactly who you're talking about.
Yeah.
So it's you got to give the edge to the Hulkster.
Yep.
Nate is up next. He asks, who goes over in a shoot fight, Prime Dr. Death or Prime Brock Lesnar? I wouldn't want to be in the room for that one, Ted.
You know what? I would, I would call that a toss up
Mm-hmm.
because, both those guys were, tough. Both of them. I mean, I don't know.
It certainly clears some damn furniture.
To me, it's a toss up. To me, it's like, one's as tough as the other. And, I don't know if did Lesnar have some more? Did he have amateur background?
Oh yeah, he was the NCAA champion back in the day.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah.
Well, now if you look at it from that point of view, I would say Brock Lesnar, but just as in terms of two guys who would meet in an alley and get in a fight. I don't know. I think those two guys would beat each other to death. I don't know if you'd have a winner.
Neither would be coming out looking good by the end.
Because again, my dad was an AAU national heavyweight wrestling champion in college, but he also was a legitimate tough guy. Mm. He's not a guy you'd want to piss off for sure. There's another guy, Dory Funk Sr. He's another one of the old guys in that, that league where, it's like, I would say Terry Funk.
Oh yeah.
Terry more than Junior. Junior every bit as, tough, but, I've never seen Junior have a skirmish with anybody that wasn't a wrestler. I've seen him have a lot of wrestling matches, but I've never seen him have like a fight with anybody. But Terry, yeah.
Terry had that craziness to him.
And I'll tell you another guy, a legitimate, really tough guy, Dick Murdoch.
Oh yeah.
Dick Murdoch was great in the ring, but buddy, man, there's a lot of bars that probably need to have his name on the wall on Amarillo Boulevard in Amarillo, Texas. He's been in all those bars, and I guarantee you he's been in a fight in all of them. So
probably a few of them that put his picture up on the bar and said no admittance.
Yeah.
I'm glad you brought up Terry Funk because he's part of the next question, and it's an interesting one because I don't know if you've ever seen these matches or the series of matches or this match in particular. So let's talk about it now. Tim Jenks asks, "Did you ever see Terry Funk versus Ric Flair from 1989, the I Quit match? What did you think? Any chance I know you were going hard yourself in those days."
Yeah. I didn't see it live, but I heard a lot about it, and then it was filmed, obviously,
mm-hmm.
And you put two guys like that in the ring, and you're just going to have greatness. And of course, but I would say this, and generally speaking, and Rick, was world champion, and if you're the champion, you're the guy in the match calling the shots. But when you're in the ring with Terry Funk, you just shut up and listen.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it would have been Terry who was, they had a great match, but Terry called every bit of it, I guarantee you.
They did something for the angle for this match, or one in this series of matches that they had that year, and it's something that was brought back on AEW TV not all that long ago. Terry Funk took a plastic bag and put it over Ric Flair's head to try and suffocate him on the way to get heat for this match. And then AEW did it recently. I believe it was John Moxley, semi-recently. It was John Moxley doing it to Bryan Danielson.
Yeah.
So, Ted, I got to ask your opinion. Plastic bag over the head to get heat. What do you think? Should I try it on the Indies?
No. No, I don't think that's a good idea. I really don't think it's a good idea at all. I mean,
no.
Because, you got a lot of wackos out there, and some wacko out there sees you do that, even though it's a work and you're not really, there's a, I would stay as far away from that as possible.
Man, got a ton of heat for the angle, and I can see why Terry Funk did it. But to your point, that's a point that I didn't even think of, Ted. Let alone the possibly causing harm to your opponent.
Yeah.
But you might inspire somebody out there.
Yeah.
All right, guys, it's 2025, and it's time for you to get your mojo back in the bedroom with a little help from Blue Chew. It is time for you to have better sex, and Blue Chew is the way to go. Blue Chew is putting its money where its mouth is and offering you a month for free. And guys, the process is real simple. Just sign up at bluechew.com, consult with one of their licensed medical providers, and once you're approved, you'll receive your prescription within days. Blue Chew tablets are made right here in the US of A and prepared and shipped direct to your door. Boy, let me tell you, you will see that mail carrier coming and come sprinting down your driveway. You can take them anytime, day or night, so you can plan ahead or be ready when the opportunity arises. The best part, it's all done online. That means no visits to the doctor's office, no awkward conversations, and no waiting in line at the pharmacy anymore. Look, the question's always the same whenever I tell people about Blue Chew. They ask, does it work? Let me tell you, brother, it works. You're going to be called an Eagle Scout the way you're going to be pitching tents after you try out Blue Chew. And Blue Chew is on a mission. They will not stop until every man is bricked up like a brick house. That is what they're after. That's what they've been telling me. It's time for you to find out for yourself with a month for free. Guys, think about this. You could be missing out on the very best sex of your entire life without even knowing about it. Blue Chew is worth the try to at least set your mind at ease on that. They say that there's nothing sexier than confidence, and Blue Chew can help deliver it where it counts. We can all relate to wanting to feel more confident, especially in the bedroom, and Blue Chew is here for you. It's time, guys. Make your life easier by getting harder and discover your options at bluechew.com. And we've got a special deal for our listeners. Try your first month of Blue Chew free. Visit bluechew.com for more details and important safety information. And we thank Blue Chew for sponsoring the podcast. Next up, we've got Kat Carter, who asks, who's the best promo guy of all time in Ted's opinion?
Oh gosh. You know, there's just too many guys to pick one guy, but man, that's really hard.
There's a lot of great ones.
There's been a lot of great ones, but again, a lot of the guys that I've already like, you know, it's kind of like, well, like I said, you know, JYD.
Fantastic.
He was, I won't say he was the greatest of all time, but he, you know, his interview made up for his lack of in-ring ability.
Mm-hmm.
Terry Funk's a great guy on the mic. Dick Murdoch was great on the mic. Oh my gosh.
I hear most people, when they're asked this question, they tend to go either Jake Roberts or Roddy Piper.
Either one of those guys, yeah, as well. Either, you know, both. Yeah, because Jake was very, you know, I think he thought about his, and you know, the way he, I don't know how to describe, but his style was priceless.
Very cerebral.
Yeah. I mean, he could talk so, you know, like softly, you know, it's almost like, well, kind of like if a snake snuck up on you.
He like personified a, you know, human snake, a very cold, calculated sort of an approach.
Yeah.
My buddy Ben Jones is up next, and he asks, this is a pretty interesting one. If Andre was still alive, do you think he would have been happy to openly talk about the business on podcasts and in interviews? Do you think Andre would be breaking kayfabe if he was still out there nowadays?
Gosh, you know, I don't know. I don't know that Andre was, you know, ever. I don't think he would have been interested in podcasts. No. You know, or, you know, like I know, like there was like, you know, in most of the interviews that he did, I mean, I don't recall any interview with Andre that was about anything but wrestling. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. I don't recall anything, and you know, maybe there's something out there. but I don't recall anybody, like having a conversation with Andre. Now, there's a lot of people that have done something on film to highlight and to talk about Andre.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, but I don't think Andre ever did.
Now, this raises an interesting question in my mind, Ted. Obviously, you're a second generation wrestler, born in the business, respect the business, and your generation of guys was very much in tune with kayfabe and maintaining kayfabe. And obviously, kayfabe is kind of the curtain's been pulled back nowadays, and you and I break kayfabe every time we record a podcast. So it makes me wonder, Ted, when did you personally begin feeling comfortable setting kayfabe aside for interviews?
Well, I mean, it just became, I mean, we were still doing kayfabe, like when I first started in the business, when I was physically wrestling, that's 1975.
Mm-hmm.
And, I would have to say, I don't know, it was, and with television being what it is and everything, there were a lot of things that happened along the way that, made it unrealistic. It's kind of like, when you walk into a movie theater, it's a movie.
Mm-hmm.
And that the guys in that movie, whether he's a bad guy or the good guy, they're playing on your emotion. You're going to get mad and sad and happy and not and whatever, but the same thing. That was kind of like, that's the way I looked at wrestling, but I think by the mid '80s that kayfabe was gone. I think everybody knew,
Vince admitted it to the New York Athletic Commission because he didn't want to pay a doctor to be at ringside anymore. I believe that would have been 1989, early 1989. Vince himself broke kayfabe and said, "No, we're entertainment." So
Yeah.
it's like after that, it's like, well, why bother trying to, why punch a fan over calling it fake anymore, right?
Yeah. Well, like I said, mid '80s. I can't remember when that was, but yeah, I mean, he was right. By that time, and I think everybody, again, people went to wrestling because they enjoyed being entertained. And of course, obviously back in the old days, like when TV was relatively new and all that other stuff, and there weren't so many different ways, now you can be seen on television, all over the country at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
So how do you, how do you, if you're a heel, what are you going to do? You're going to go all over. See, if you were a heel and you left the territory, then you can act like a normal person. Used to be, if you were a heel, you acted like a heel all the time.
Yep.
In public. That's back when they were really, pushing that we want to try to make it as believable as possible. So.
I know that a lot of guys on the indies that I work with, a lot of them, if they're a heel, even nowadays, if they're out around the audience, they'll still be an asshole to them, like while they're going to their car and stuff like that. And at first I was like, why? Everybody knows that it's a work nowadays and they're coming to enjoy the show. But one of the guys made a really good point, and he said, even though they know it's a show, they can still think that I'm a dickhead, and then want to see me fail out there in the ring.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So
yeah.
I guess there's something to it. Next up, we've got Gary Franks, who asks, saw a photo of you recently with the Honky Tonk Man. Were you friends with Honky? What did you think of him as a guy and as a worker?
I know, well, I guess I've known Honky as long as I've been working for the WWE.
Mm-hmm.
And, I think, hey, I love the gimmick. And he fit the gimmick, and if he was good on the mic, and he was good in the ring. I'm not, like a super, You know, I love the guy, I hate the guy. You know, either way, because we you know, it's like if you know, I do these Comic Cons. If I went to a Comic Con and he was there, I, you know, obviously I'd go over and shake his hands and, hey, how you doing? You know, small talk. But you know, was there a relationship bigger than that? It's never been, you know, with he and I anyway. But yeah, I guess I have no problem with him. So what would be the problem with him?
Well, as a matter of fact, Honky Tonk Man himself has done a couple shoot interviews where he talked about you and said that he felt like maybe you had heat with him. He didn't have heat with you. He thought maybe you had heat with him because, according to him, the original plan was for you to win the WWF Championship at WrestleMania 4. However, he refused to drop the belt, the Intercontinental belt, to Randy Savage. So that made the office shift around the creative and say, okay, we'll put the world title on Savage instead, and then, you know, do something else with Honky and the Intercontinental title. So Honky has gone on record numerous times. I've seen the interviews where he says, I don't know if Ted hates me or not for that, but I think I cost him the world title.
Well, no, he didn't cost me the world title, you know, because he had nothing to say about it. I mean, you know, ultimately, if you're going to work for them, then you're going to do what you're told.
Yeah.
And they were trying to appease everybody, and just so. And I've never had this conversation with Honky, but you know, Pat Patterson came to me and he said, "Well, here's the situation." You know, and I could see Honky's side of it. I could see Randy's side of it. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
You know, and by the same token, he said, here's the thing, Ted, and you know this as a heel, whether you know, and if you were the champion, you're not going to be the champion very long because, you know, again, Vince was trying to sell merchandise and attract a young audience. So your bad guys, ultimately, they're going to get beat.
Yep.
You know, and so, and he says, but here's the idea. So we can make everybody happy. You thumb your nose at the world title and go out and create your own championship belt. Ultimately, the $1 million belt. And I'm going to tell you right now, Marcus, that put more heat on me than if I'd had the title. You know, what an arrogant SOB. You know what? Go out and create his own title. And of course, then, you know, all you had to do when I came to the ring with that title on is beat me, and it's yours.
Yep.
And nobody did. You know, and not until it was right.
I kind of, for my money, the way that everything played out was perfect. Not only did you get the $1 million title, but then also you kind of, as a heel, have a claim to the world title because Andre won it and gave it to you. There's that picture that you've actually got behind you there of you with that title around your waist. So, like, as a heel, you kind of have a claim to the world title, and you can be an asshole and say, like, I never lost that belt. Nobody ever beat me for it, you know? So the whole thing is just kind of perfect.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, and to your point, it's a babyface territory. So, you know, Wayne can say, well, I cost Ted all this money by costing him the championship. You wouldn't have been the champion for very long. No heels were back in those days.
No. And I had, you know, and again, I had that conversation with, you know, with, like I said, with Pat, who was working side by side with Vince, you know, and if you're a heel, you would, if I'd have had the belt, it wouldn't have been long at all. I mean, okay, so, and I'm obviously, you know, here's the other thing. You know, when Randy Savage and I wrestled at WrestleMania 4, we were both heels.
Mm-hmm.
And when he came out of that match, the winner, he was a babyface.
It worked perfectly.
Yeah.
By the way, Ted, I think to this day, Wayne, Honky Tonk Man, thinks you might still have heat with him. So next time you see him, you got to give him the old brother handshake and be like, hey, man.
Yeah, man. That's several places, you know, just, yeah, I got no heat with him. No.
Next up, we've got Kid, I guess. And they ask, do you collect anything?
Do I collect anything?
Yeah. Do you like coins or sports cards, anything like that?
No, the only thing I guess I have managed to collect, and strictly because my wife insists that I have one of everything, is all of my action figures.
So we've got to get you that new Build-A-Figure Ted. We've got to get all the pieces together.
Yeah, yeah. I guess get me all of them.
I'm gonna send them to you just in pieces, and you got to put it all together.
Yeah, no, I'm looking around my office here, and I've got pictures of me and everybody, uh, and and I do have I have a very legitimate, very heavy North American Heavyweight Championship belt that would have been the belt that it was the Mid-South belt. So
Very cool. That's an awesome thing to have in your collection.
and of course I have a replica of my $1 million belt, of course.
Ted, do you have a favorite action figure of you that came out by any chance?
No, I laugh all the time because I say it jokingly, but legitimately, I've got a big head. I mean, I think when I was playing college football, I was like the helmet size, like it was a 7 5/8 or something. I don't know, but big. So like when the what do they call them? The little action figure with the big heads.
Oh, the Funko Pops.
Funko Pops. When the Funko Pops came out, I said, "Hey, they finally got me right."
So whenever you turned babyface in WCW, Scott Hall and Kevin Nash came out and they cut a promo on you, and I think that Scott Hall called you a pumpkin head during it, and they cut to you, and you there was a funny look on your face whenever he said it. I feel like you were like, you bastard. Now, Ted, what about any old memorabilia? Do you have any trunks or anything like that that you've kept over the years?
Yeah, I've got a couple of. I've got a few of the trunks that I wore, with the dollar signs on them. I can't say that I have I thought I had a belt. I mean, not a belt. I'm even looking as I'm talking about that right now. Do I have a? No, I've got a boot, but it's a boot somebody gave me, but I couldn't wear it. And it's gold.
Oh, wow.
So,
now, none of your old boots with like the dollar signs on the side?
you know what? And I could really, and my wife tried to tell me I'd wear them out and throw them away.
Oh, no.
No, I don't, I don't have one. Dang it.
Wow. Now, when it comes to your old trunks, I know that, man, a lot of fans really want to get their hands on wrestling merchandise, especially ring use merchandise. Would you ever sell a pair of your trunks?
No. What I have left, I keep.
Got to give them to like your grandchildren.
And yeah, I'll be honest with you. Some of the things that I don't have anymore. It's like I didn't give them away. I would use that as like I'm trying to think. I can't remember the name of the organization right now, but they're an organization that does events and raises money for underprivileged kids and kids with that are ill. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so, in terms of raising money for those organizations, I would give up one of my, like a boot or a pair of boots or like one of those jackets or something, and they would raffle it off. And I mean, oh my gosh, they made a lot of money, by me giving up some of my stuff.
Man, good on you, Ted. I think a lot of guys are trying to cash in and sell some of their stuff and make some money, but you just wanted to help folks.
Yeah.
God bless you, man. That's incredible.
Well, I'm good for something.
Well, we'll do one more question. I'll let you go. Finally, we've got Willie who asks, If you had your choice of anyone to face to win the NWA World Title back in the day, who would you have picked to go over against? What a question.
Wow. The NWA World Heavyweight title was the title when I was a kid.
Yeah.
I mean, and the NWA, in terms of, the NWA covered many territories. Like where the AWA was just Berngaina up in Minnesota, right? And then the AWA was a little bit. The NWA was like Mid-South, Florida, Georgia,
everywhere.
Just almost everywhere except the East Coast.
Yeah.
Who had their own champion. So the NWA World Title probably would be the belt that I would most like to have if I could have one.
Now, boy, there's a lot of options as far as like guys that I know you had a personal connection with who were title holders, like Harley Race, Terry Funk, Jack Briscoe. Like there was so many great Ric Flair, so many great NWA champions. Ted, if you could pick one guy to go over against to win that belt, who do you think you would select?
Wow. Probably Harley Race.
Why Harley?
Let me tell you why. And a lot of people don't know this, but the night that my father had a heart attack in a ring in Lubbock, Texas, and died on the way to the hospital.
Mm-hmm.
It was Harley Race who ran to ringside, and he realized. I mean, he told me this later. He says, your dad. I saw him trying to get up, and then he fell. And I ran down there, and I rolled him over, and I could tell he had a heart attack. And Harley Race kept my dad alive at ringside. Giving him artificial resuscitation until the ambulance got there.
Yeah.
But
so
no,
Harley, I mean, that kind of symmetry makes Harley almost, the perfect guy for you to, if you were to win the NWA title, boy, going over against him would have really meant something.
Yeah. And he had it for a good long while. And, and he even told me, he said, and because when I started in the business, I don't say, not braggishly. I mean, I grew up in it, it was almost a natural move for me to do. And and I remember when he was the champion, I don't know how many times, if he lost it and got it back, I don't know. But anyway, he was the NWA world champion. And he said to me, he said, pal, he says, if I have anything to do with it, one day you'll be wearing this belt.
Ah, man.
And of course that never came to pass, but that's because things change.
Yeah.
I mean, the whole structure of when Vince McMahon went national, all the territories died, they went away. So anyway.
That's just a wrestling business for you, pal.
Yeah.
Things change all the time. I know a lot of talents get frustrated with it, but it's just nature of the beast. Well, Ted, boy, this was another fun episode that's going to wrap us up this time. I know that you've got a lot of irons in the fire personally, so we're going to continue to try and bring you guys episodes every single week. We might miss a week here or there for a month or so, but rest assured, this podcast isn't going anywhere. Ted and I are going to keep on forging ahead. We're about to hit episode 100 here in a few weeks, and like I said, we're going to try to make it to 500, pal.
Hey, it's all about the money, honey. I like them big numbers. Yes. Well, Marcus, thank you very much. And for all of you fans, just always remember that everybody's got a price for the $1 Million Man.
We'll catch you guys next time right here on Everybody's Got a Pot.